I'd like to thank the Parliament for giving me a brief moment to make a parliamentary statement expressly in response to the public protest and the petitions that few NGOs handed over to the Police Minister and our National Capital District Governor yesterday. I just want to make a brief response. The petition was received. We've looked through the petition, and in summary, the petition basically called for that they made an inference or make him talk, if I could speak in pidgin, for better use of word to ensure clarity is gone across our country. Only talk no cut vaccine, vaccine maski, no can mandatory vaccine not la talk to. Only talk not la 3 point me summarize him. Only talk Rousing Pandemic Act. And this was basically the essence of the protest that took place yesterday. Me like kissing this time, lo make him go out long all citizens blame me, especially online long 9 Mile, line where all come bung. We play looks at one of them all come out or display bungi come long. Me like talks away long all line come out. Also, country blame me. I mean, you got mandatory vaccination. How much la time? But me play stand up here and talk some vaccine. I mean, no mandatory. And so the protest keeps on coming, and we are observing closely where source blood is la protest of la come up yet. Vaccine, me play no make him mandatory from day one. I mean, like clear him good look at a man marry across our country. No can harem gaman talk to some vaccines and mandatory blow. Mipla in as far as government policy is concerned. We respect our people's right to freedom of choice, especially when it comes to sensitive matters like this. Now, government, making one blanket policy or some vaccine by mandatory. Some country are making vaccine and mandatory. For instance, one Solwara Blimi, Long Pacific Island, one black skin of Senyumi, Fiji, and we talk vaccine requirement now long you walk. All are making slow down now. Over 80% of Fijians only kissing vaccine penis. Now go back to walk. Close to Bolobim country belong all. Now only me looking lo news aste. Report me kissing or to call Australia tourists. Ready to travel along Fiji, na go Malalo, na kind of some lo up now. And so you mean making vaccine mandatory, but we had made vaccine available. Long said online like kissing vaccine or mass kissing. That policy still stands, and plenty talk of some government making compulsory vaccine and government talk. So Miss Beckham talk go out long through this parliament, because all like him people will respond within 48 hours. Underneath the standing order long parliament. Parliament you don't have give him ultimatum long one block line long salim was in parliament you must respond in 12 hours or 24 hours or 48 hours or kind of same. But however, all people leave me all like harem clear. Plenty only clear long all information. Maybe people talk English that's all. Maybe people use more scientific talk that's all. I don't know for whatever reason. But all this all striking come up and led by a few prominent NGOs who have no association with us in the political circles, and some genuine NGOs, and I give respect to all of them. So me like talking clear, some all people in the country, vaccination, mandatory or compulsory, and is still optional. Number 2, long workplace, only talk no jab, no job policy. No policy of government. Now, government talk workplace safety is important. However, harem thinking, harem talk to plenty of man Mary, people now go along give him nupla. And about 3 weeks ago, controller give him penis. Nupla workplace protocol na order ego penis. Suppose no got pandemic act, controller but no got this la power lo give him. Like online, me clear in this law. Pandemic act stop, na give him power lo controller will give instruction on workplace. You got workplace safety, blow you and stuff. But all people talk all same, so you instead of talk no job, ting belong all company, let him you make him test long gate lo go inside lo walk. Gate belong office. Now test now you got COVID, well you go house na malolo also well not blow sick. You got sick, you know stop lo walk. You got sick, you must stop lo house. Now you may talk all walk. Your man blow asking walk, you stop backside lo door long walk inside. Man stop inside lo door lo walk. A man blow giving walk lo you. Now whether I'm COVID-19 now you may talk all COVID-19. You know got COVID-19, man blow giving walk but talk. You got this la sick or no God because workplace lo me all same. You got this license or no God. You got this education qualification or no God. And man are giving walks asking you pastor before I'm giving walk lo you. Use him head, or him head, no can think or some or something and you got right us. Man blow giving you walk, he got right to lo asking you. And I plenty also place lo giving walk and more licklick all walk line, licklick taga box, licklick all guest house, licklick all company, but me blow walk on them all big employers. We like in Belly Silo country or some big employers or some all mining line, all oil and gas line, all big employers or some people talk. People putting workplace safety, now people making testing. And come a part of requirement, including people public service. So no God is no job, no job. This is policy, law government, na people go around finish, na issue instruction. Also, all workplace must put in testing. Link, and most of you would have seen controller, health department, only put him right across the country now. One of them all test sites, now one of them all vaccination sites. So, we said, man, you like some vaccine? Vaccine is stop. We said, man, you feel as if you don't have some vaccine? Okay, you make him test. Suppose you walk, man. You test positive, we'll talk, okay, you stop outside legally past time. Also, this morning, you may, Speaker, you have him also, you may get prevalence of about 30% of COVID cases in our parliament work precinct. So, me clearly, I think, Lord Man Mary, no got vaccination, I mean, mandatory. Please, no can boom boom. Customer strife in our city. Yesterday, police could have gone out in a big way, stop him, Man Mary, move around. But we said, we are all living in hard time. Instead of police go stop him all of them, just have a handle on them, let them talk. But we have to be aware that you stop boom boom, you can kiss him COVID-19 easy. And going forward, me like talking also line protesters. Mipla, stop him you or no can raise him issues you feel government need to harm. National Control Center has been operational. Example, for instance, the PNG Council of Church, the Body of Christ, as well as the Evangelical Alliance, all churches network in the country. Only come now, same old concern only come raising lo mipla 2 weeks ago lo National Control Center. So we said out there you feel you have an issue that government needs to hear about. National Control Center, in as far as COVID is concerned, it has always been open, almost 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, third floor, Morata House. Bring him constantly come lab instead of steer him Gordon's Market, steer him Boroko Market, steer him 9 Mile Market. Na come na cause him unnecessary nuisance in the city. And this little bumper crowds, and cause him COVID lo spread it. You Yambla man, Yambla Mary, you may be strong, you know feeling effect of COVID-19. But you got Lapun Papa lo house stuff, Lapun Mama stuff. You go back, you give him sick lamps, Lapun and go finish now. Me I encourage our citizens, stay away from crowd. No can boom boom na stop. No can adam talk lo one man and panim. Lick bread and butter blown on side na all in speaker na stop. Stay away from the crowd. Any one of you genuine NGOs or also more churches come lo look at me long Morata House. If you have an issue, come to us at Morata House. We listen with you, talk to you. If there's a specific workplace issue, also come to us at Morata House. The hotline has always been open. Controller Manning and the deputy controller and the team has always been at work. Come to us, we could handle those specific workplace issues, and we could deal with them to ensure our people's rights are also not unnecessarily sabotaged or tampered with as we live in this hard time going forward. So I just thought, Mr. Speaker, I make those clarities to inform our people. We've considered your petitions. We're having a look at them. If a sample of you can come to the controller and sit down with him and talk to him maybe on Thursday or Friday, we could explain to you in full detail what this issue is all about. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Making debate on top law. statement Prime Minister making, man. Also, Parliament to take note long statement law Prime Minister about petition. All people blame me give you. Now, me like to thank you, Lord Prime Minister, long allow him all citizens blame me. To express him this rights blow all. This freedom. I mean, the constitution. You know masabi. The freedom that we have is an unqualified freedom. The rights of our citizens, we must allow them to express themselves freely and openly on issues affecting our country. Mr. Speaker, I take note of Prime Minister's statement. The statement is not about the vaccines or the protest. The protest is actually about no jab, no job. Let's take that very clear. No jab, no job. Mr. Speaker, right to employment of our people is their constitutional right to be employed. And Prime Minister, whilst you say that the government has a policy that is not mandatory, not compulsory vaccination, that's what you say on the floor of Parliament. It's totally different out there. Totally different. We have state-owned enterprise like Papua New Guinea has laid off air crews, and engineers who do not want to get vaccinated. They have been laid off. We have National Capital District who has come up with a policy of no jab, no job. And we have, yes, companies, like mining companies, like shops, say no jab, no job. Mr. Speaker, when we announce a policy as a government, that policy must cover everybody, whether it's public or private.
You make a point of order, Honorable Minister, when a point of order below you.
Speaker, I'm just sitting down getting very worried about a statement that the good learned opposition leader said. He said the right to be employed is a constitutional right. Can he give me which part of the Constitution that says you have the right to be employed? You see, it's very confusing at this stage to a lot of Papua New Guineans. When we said it's a right to be employed, it's a constitutional right. I'm confused. Can the opposition leader name the part, the section, and the subsection of the Constitution that says that? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Let me address this point of order first, Honorable Opposition Leader. Honorable Minister, point of order below you, I'm straight, Lord Fla. But you can debate later on, suppose I'm finished with the Larima Opposition Leader, I'm finished my debate blowing. Then usati like debate Lord Fla talk, you can we can allow him, make him this law. So, Honorable Opposition Leader, you continue with your.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. If the member for Marabe and Minister for Agriculture hasn't the right, he shouldn't be in Parliament. Section 50 of the Constitution talks about the rights of our citizens. Go and read the Constitution, Mr. Minister. Mr. Speaker, the reality out there is far from what the Prime Minister is saying on the floor of Parliament. People are enforcing. If you do not get a job, then you don't have a job. So, Mr. Speaker, when the Prime Minister makes that policy decision, it must apply across the board, whether it's a private company or public company. They all operate within the perimeters of Papua New Guinea's constitution, which governs our country. It must apply to everybody. You cannot say, oh, government, you can work in a company, you can work in a light blue. how do we protect our citizens? How do we protect our citizens? We are here, we make laws for our people, for our country. And our citizens' rights, our rights, must be protected. Today we are members of parliament. Tomorrow you will be out there as one of them. And if your rights are being suppressed, what are you going to do? So the rights of our people, the freedom, is not legislated. We do not pass laws on the floor of parliament to guide our freedoms. The freedoms, we are born with it. It's God-given. So don't debate on the issue of freedom. We must respect the freedoms and the rights of our people. Mr. Prime Minister, if your policy, if the government policy is vaccination is not compulsory, make that policy work in both the private sector and public sector. Make it work. Otherwise, I'm seeing a letter from your secretary, chief secretary's office, dated 7th of October 2021, getting all the public servants to be vaccinated. Who is the chief secretary to force every public servant to get vaccinated? He cannot. It is a right. They have the freedom. They must choose their freedom.
You may get narrow point of order. Honorable Minister, one point of order.
The concern is that we have the member of the opposition, the leader of the opposition, making unfounded statements that are incorrect in law and not factual, that are going on record. Firstly, there is no chief secretary. That position has been removed. Secondly, second section of 50 of the Constitution refers to the right to vote, which you are stating that it provides rights. So please, Mr. Speaker, can you advise the Speaker of the leader of the opposition to just stick to the issues? Don't delve into technical matters he has no knowledge about. Thank you.
Honorable Opposition Leader.
Thank you, Mr. Scientist, the lawyer, accountant, and everything.
Honorable Opposition Leader. Through that chair.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Me like talk also, ma. I'm debating.
Order.
Minister.
Larem, honorable Opposition Leader. Through that chair.
Thank you.
Allow him, Opposition Leader, long debate him dasla, and then bami allow him usad you got talk lo debate stop bami larem debate.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Sabos all feeling pen lo statements lo me larem all feeling pen more yet. Mr. Speaker, I'm talking about our citizens. I don't know where these two ministers, how did they come into Parliament? Do you represent your people or you represent yourself? Did you use your application or qualification to be in Parliament? Huh? That's what you're arguing. Did you?
Order. Honorable Minister, you have not been given that opportunity to talk. So take your seat. Honorable Opposition Leader, you continue with the debate.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. We are in Parliament not because of our qualifications. We are mandated by the people, so we should be for the people, of the people, and by the people, Mr. Speaker. That must be very clear on these people. And I am saying this, and I hope the people of Maprik and Medeng are listening to finish these people come 2022. Finish this too. They must finish them because they don't represent them and their interests on the floor of Parliament.
Honorable Opposition Leader, order. Honorable Opposition Leader, you stick to your debate. Obama stop him, you don't have debate more.
Mr. Speaker.
Right.
No, me I'm only excited more yet. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm basically trying to talk about the rights and the freedoms of our people. Mr. Speaker, Prime Minister's statement on the floor of Parliament is far from the reality. The reality is that they are enforcing it and the Prime Minister has been quiet. Him being quiet means that he is by default supporting no jab, no job. That is the fact. When we adopt a policy as a government, that policy applies across the board. Whether a private mining company or private supermarket in this country, they operate within the jurisdiction of Papua New Guinea, within our constitution. They must comply with our laws. And the laws are meant to protect our citizens. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
We have a point of order. Honorable Governor Blong NCD, one point of order below you.
Well, opposition leader, I'm finishing talk long, we can go ahead the point of order. No, what we can talk to Speaker.
Point of order. You got a point of order below you.
Point of order below me, I'm also. Me appreciate him. Parliament, me appreciate him. Position long, opposition leader. But position me only a very important position. Now, I must use him as a position long and responsibility too. Promoting freedom law, people blame me. I'm all right, a good law, but our people have responsibility too. They must be responsible. Now, we can give an example. NCDC. People got online where only got pre-existing condition. They are very vulnerable. City manager and got obligation long employees, both who healthy now, skin belong all same Rambo. Same time too, and we got responsibility long online where if they receive infection, they are very vulnerable.
Honorable Opposition Leader, you resume your seat. Let him finish his point of order, and then if you have a point of order, they can come up long.
So, Opposition Leader, I'm using platform long and long. Advocate now, talk about rights for people blame me. I'm all right, but I must question him yet because what he said, people take it, personally or literally. That their rights is more important than our obligation to each other. Now, me by reading Section 48 of the Constitution, what it says about right of employment. It's not an absolute right. It's a qualified right, but it gives you a right of choice of employment. You don't talk to them, you must be employed by the parliament or by the office of the opposition leader or by this company or that company. Or. Please, we are in a pandemic. That's all I'm trying to say. But I got a chance to speak behind, Speaker.
Honorable, let me address his point of order first before I choose him. Honorable Governor Blow and CDS, point of order Blow in Sinoda. Do we have another point of order? You are raising a point of order?
Respond to his point of order.
No.
Mr. Speaker.
Then the chair will not allow you to raise, to respond to his point of order. No. No, God. It's not allowed. Milarem Governor Blow Isipik.
Speaker. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for this opportunity.
Sorry, before you continue, I know you all members from Parliament like debating the Sala talk. I will give you opportunity to debate, but you will all going to set up minute of marking you block at the same time. So Governor Blow Isipik, you go pass.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Number one, and I've said this before and I want to say it again. We are lawmakers, and right now if you look at the cameras, Papua New Guineans are tuned in to watch what we are saying here. Mipla leader must responsible when I can talk of Mipla make him. And we have to check our facts, Mr. Speaker. So, number one, something. Papua New Guineans have 19 constitutional rights. Section where Bratan, opposition leader, mi quote mi krangi. Section 50 is the right to vote. Now, this right long walk, it reads like this. Every person has the right to freedom of choice of employment. It doesn't say that you must not walk. It says you have the choice in any calling for which he or she has the qualifications lawfully required, subject to the regulations and restrictions. Mibla leader here, please, before you become na tricky more people blame you this la flaw. Let's be properly educated before you throw him kind section na kind talk because our people are watching. Mr. Speaker, this is irresponsible. You got right to walk lo place or go na piny one blow walk where you got qualification long subject to the restrictions required. That's what the law says. Now, Mr. Speaker, mipla olgada talk lo desla issue blong vaccination or no got. Prime Minister me make it clear. It is a choice. But once you make the choice, it comes with responsibility. You don't have to make a choice as a middle leader. You don't have to come and throw me to talk nothing, without worrying about the effect that what we say on this floor and by God, Lord, people outside. Yesterday's protest was totally irresponsible. Mr. Speaker, you may look him spike long COVID-19. Time you may over the boom of funeral belong. Late Grand Chief Sir Michael Thomas Somare. Now we knew, even Sir Michael's family didn't want a big funeral because all is sabe. Also, you may by spreading the plastic. But we went ahead. Mr. Speaker, all people will speak talk, am I right? You may get some sick nine day. So we took the responsibility. 2 weeks after the funeral in my province, Mr. Speaker, we had a spike. In fact, your province of Manus had no COVID-19. All Manus kalap lo speedboat na come across lo funeral lo St. Michael. Lo so him respect no le karim sick COVID go lo Manus. Now we knew this. We took the responsibility and we did it, and we showed our respects to perhaps the greatest of all of us in this house. I was very disappointed when I saw videos of this street protest. I call him named the Grand Chief Sir Michael Somare. Shame on you. That same group in 2011, they illegally threw Sir Michael out of this house. The same group. Irresponsible people, Mr. Speaker. And in this house, we have to be more responsible with our words. Be very careful. Because all looking at TV stuff, all back on talk, no gat. There's a member to all there's a to all so I'm true. We have the lowest rate of vaccination on planet Earth. 1.7%. Now, if that is not freedom of choice, I don't know what is, Mr. Speaker. Prime Minister talk, yeah? You have the freedom to choose. Well, Papua New Guineans have chosen 1.7%. We have set a new world record. Mr. Speaker, we have the lowest rate of measles vaccination in the world, 37%. We have the lowest rate of chickenpox vaccination in the world. That too is less than 30%. So plenty all piginini. All by kisim sick chickenpox na all by die. All by kisim measles na all by die. How do we know? Because we have the lowest rate of vaccination for those diseases on planet Earth. Now you blow leader. Some of you here will be responsible when those children die. Because you are not saying the right things here. And people are believing you. Papua New Guineans are resistant against all vaccines. Not just COVID-19 vaccines. Let's understand that before we start criticizing the Prime Minister, Mr. Speaker.
Okay, you may get point of order, Honorable Officer, whatever point of order for you.
Mr. Speaker, governors should be debating no jab, no job. What is your position as the governor for ECP on no jab, no job? Can you make
Governor,
it clear to the people of this country and people of ECP? Because that is the problem now. That is why they are protesting, not for anything else. They are protesting because of no jab, no job. Make yourself clear to the people of ECP and to the people of Papua New Guinea. Your position.
Through the chair, Opposition Leader.
Yes, through the chair, Mr. Speaker. Thank you.
Okay, let me rule on your point of order. Point of order for you. I think you will me harem ikrangi or but Governor will long debate him this issue, yeah. He's debating it. And will debate him. And from that chair, supposed to blow you know that. I'm not. So point of order, out of order, he's debating that issue. Honorable Governor, you continue with your debate.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. So, Mr. Speaker, that is the first part of my debate. We must get our facts right before we present them on this floor. The standing orders specifically prohibit us from making insinuations. It also prohibits us from jumping onto things like constitutional rights when we don't know about them. These are very specific, Mr. Speaker. So plan is something where Honorable Opposition Leader Totok Nalongemia, Emi Kalapim Stret Abrusim standing orders nego. So that's the number one point I want to make. The second point, Mr. Speaker, is coming back to no job. You know Simsut, you know Napkisi walk. Mr. Speaker, companies very specifically are given rights under the Companies Act, and they are required, or some law emi talk here, subject to, your rights are subject to certain requirements within the law. So you may pass him lo displa parliament, you may pass him displa Occupational Health and Safety Act, which has been running for many, many decades. You may not amend him yet. Displa Occupational Health and Safety Act, emi require him all company. In fact, it even requires Parliament to provide a safe workspace for all its employees. Now, Mr. Speaker, that's the law. That's the law that Papua New Guinea providing. So Papua New Guinea providing law lo banisim all citizens want them 19 rights belong all. And we provide him law lo banisim operation belong all company too. Suppose one pla man or Mary emi go inside lo one pla hotel, for example, now. Na emi go inside, na emi kisim sick COVID inside lo despla hotel because one pla walk man or walk Mary or one pla guest iga desala sick. Na emi catch him, and if it can be proven, Mr. Speaker, I believe our laws will find that that premises owner, that employer, is liable under law. Because that's the way our laws are structured, Mr. Speaker. Now, Mr. Speaker, already we have a case law in New South Wales where somebody got sick. You are in Pastel. Opposition leader, with respect, our laws are similar to Australian and New Zealand laws and Great Britain laws, in case you don't know. In case you don't know. So, time we got case law where we present him one pla, breakthrough lo nupla kind way, lo deal one pla nupla situation. And COVID-19 is a new situation. We are still learning. There are no experts in this thing, whether in law or anything else. But Mr. Speaker, when it comes to workplace health and safety, the onus of the law is provided on the employer. And stop andalangem. That's what it means. So you can totok lawyer, but suppose one bla workman is sick inside the one bla workplace and he die. Parliament is not liable. That employer is liable. That's what our law says. Now suppose you may not like it as a law, then we go and change the law. But until the law is changed, we accept the status quo. That's how things are supposed to operate. So, Mr. Speaker, the policy of the government is correct. I mean, like you, subject to the requirements, Mr. Speaker. Because right now, for example, in some occupations, you will be required to take certain vaccinations in order to get those jobs.
You may got narrow point of order. Honorable Opposition Leader, when a point of order, you.
Mr. Speaker, Governor's debate is one-sided. How about people who get vaccinated and die? What's your debate on that? How about people who get vaccinated and die?
Honorable Opposition Leader, point of order, you may out of order. Debate long. One kind of same you will debate you, no thinking you. Now I'm Governor of Isipik, so Governor, you go ahead with your debate.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I was actually coming to that when I was rudely interrupted by my big brother from the other side of my region. Mr. Speaker, there is no law in Papua New Guinea that absolves the statutory authorities of liability. Last time we raised in Lodesla floor the issue of the use of propofol, which resulted in the deaths of 7 individuals, amongst them Sambla Pigidini. Now, Mr. Speaker, if our opposition leader was here at the time, he would have heard my question on this floor. Now, this talk me ask him is in line with the fact that any citizen of Papua New Guinea that gets any medication, including the COVID-19 vaccines, Sabosebi kisim bagarap emigat right under law, our current laws again to seek redress. Government inonaplo abrusim responsibility belongem long all citizens lo any kind marasin where government ilarim I come inside lo country. So our citizens and people of Papua New Guinea yupla harim stop. No can harim gaman blol man. Suppose you kisim bagarap. Time you kisim one vaccine whether AstraZeneca or J&J or one. Or even suppose you kisim garla marasin. Your current laws, which our founding fathers put in place in 1975, protects your rights. And it is the same for the COVID-19 vaccine. So let's not mislead our people. Let's be factual on this floor. And if we don't know something, let's understand it. So that when we do come and speak on this floor, you may clear him thinking people blow me. You may not even come now, confuse him all more yet. So that they'll be going to protest and riot the street because they also don't understand, Mr. Speaker. So let's make it clear to our people. The government's policy stance is correct, and it's a policy. This policy belong, this government where Emi talk, it is your right to decide whether you want to get a vaccine or not. Emi stop. It does not restrict you. However, if you do get the vaccine by choice, now suppose vaccine Emi bagarap him you have the right to seek legal redress, just like any other medication now. So I want our people to understand this. And we've got to get it right on this floor. Because plenty of time, you miss a bagarabim lo here, now people blame miss a bagarabim lo side. So Mr. Speaker, our people have the right, whether they want to get a vaccine or not, and likely you want one. But you do it with responsibility. Suppose you know sim suit, now you go, now you go pull up la housing, now oxygen is short, now not enough washman, look at him, you not enough nurse, na doctor. You not can come back in na cross-fight and double government. Mipla like stop him, plan the sick man, local housing. Also the Mipla ask him lokisim vaccine. We want to protect the health system. We want to protect the health workers. We've had 3 surges now. And third wave you may go through Longem, yeah? Now we've seen the effect it has had on some of our hospitals. We've seen the effect it has had on our health workers. We would be irresponsible if we did not make the vaccine available. We have a 4th wave coming, gentlemen. How do we know this? Because Europe is having its 4th wave. Also, vaccine past name is vaccine behind. So our turn is coming. That we know. Now suppose all people blame me not liking vaccine, I'm all right. But they got to find ways to protect themselves. They have to find ways to protect themselves, Mr. Speaker. So, Mr. Speaker, I think I have made it plain, but I want to reiterate, your leaders must responsible lo tok blow me. Was lo mouse blow me before you become na trome natin lo here. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Plan di blue play sanap same time. So me ba me call him one pla and then you bla narbla by sanap na make him talk blue bla. Me ask him honorable member blo Yalibu Pangya.
Thank you through Mr. Speaker. Thank you, you giving me opportunity, working some legally talk, this last statement, Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker, me na pulim talk, but plan di sawaman talk lo pinis. Na plan di sawaman blo work doctor na medicine, lo society blo yumi na community blo yumi working plan di talk this last same issue pinis. Mr. Speaker, emi good plaus yumi lo des la parliament so some leadership lo where yumi must lose him plan di petty talk yumi work lo working lo create an environment where all man marry yumi must believe lo talk yumi na make him so some yumi work one time lo abrusim des la sick covid des la yumi got lo community blo yumi. So Mr. Speaker, mi platu is about him talk blo government where emi turmai totok sem COVID
vaccination emi voluntary. Mi bla mas lo desa totok because emi respect him right blow man meri blow imi lo country blow imi. It is the individual right. You mean na bla force him one bla man lo go next him suit. So mi bla tu is supporting this la totok. Now two, where planning lo community blow imi now totok lo where em talk lo walk. Mr. Speaker, you must have one difficult economic environment where plenty of companies, even the government too, you may work like cut him number of people we are employing. So plenty family, you don't got work and step outside. Now time of plenty line current is no job policy and current plenty heavy come inside the community blame. Mr. Speaker, we cannot allow extra burden you go line blaming. People are already struggling enough. We have to be responsible on what we say and what we do. Government must be clear on this messaging about no jab, no job policy. Now government amamas na talk also yes, good law also company got right law providing safe environment law workman meri. Right blow company and mibla tu I respect him desla. Tasol law blow imi tu I talk also. Company tu mas I got good blah environment where him put him fair law workman meri. That's clearly defined in our labor laws, Mr. Speaker. Now government needs to apply this law. Law protect him all desla workman meri all no like him vaccination. Employer must provide him fair workplace, whilst at the same time provide him safety blow man meri. Just like time on man meri him sick time, we plus give him sick leave on man meri law. Go next him better before they come back to work. Time old mama says him picking any time, we plus give him all maternity leave. We can do the similar thing with COVID situation, Mr. Speaker. You can confuse him all man meri blow you mean? Plan de kan gaman toto all doctor too I work lo togol sem this vaccination in a good plan. So all man meri me believe. Na time employer come na put him nerve pressure you are creating anxiety among families and the breadwinner who is supposed to be employed to feed them. So Mr. Speaker, we have to be clear. Me like him Minister blow labor na team blend lo labor department must come out. Clear na talking about the company. Provide testing environment. So suppose I need lo yumi. Make him sure same.
You got point of order. Honorable Prime Minister, on a point of order, you.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. With respect, long member of Yalu Pange, me talk finish. Controller issue this like instruction long. All employers lo different workplace lo making this lo something. 3 weeks ago, the instruction went out. Yet our people choose not to believe that. Controller has already issued those instructions. For workplace, now no job, can stop. Now workplace testing must stop. Testing first time, you work this kind of workplace or that safety issue in work environment is established. So we just like making point of order long talk. That instruction has already gone out. As if no instruction go out finish. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Member.
Mr. Speaker, a good law same you may got this la passing blow point of order or this la parliament. But some time lare molman pinisim tok na. By you sim trouble minin blow tok. Katim tok na parliament tok go come as some different message you go outside. Me no talk also government working this la tok. Me amamas la government working this la tok. Tasol now all man Mary where all employers who work lo work, they've got no place to go and air their grievances. This is where the problem is. Labor Department is stop where all man American Karam complain blow you're gonna talk. This la money employ me Rasu lo work because minoxim test or minoxim vaccination. This is about fair workplace environment, Mr. Speaker. Many of these are hard-working Papua New Guineans. We need to protect them. That is the argument. And government needs to get these agencies of government to enforce the law. Safety is paramount. Fair play, workplace is very important. of confusing messages coming out of COVID management. You have line agencies who are now giving different messages to what the controller is saying. Plenty of world the controller is taking full control of the entire country. Where, freedom or work below departments. Mr. Speaker, government. People are member protecting all those here. So suppose you give him a wrong message now, only fearful, I'm only going to accept the suit. While we are debating here, we are discouraging them. And many of them are dying today. Mr. Speaker, that is why we need to get our line departments, the Department of Labor, Department of Immigration, all this line health, all department work. Where they getting paid, sitting there doing nothing. So only the current message for government go. So small workman made treatment of workplace. People come to this plan, and people have to talk to this company. Now this company no got testing, force them to have a testing place. That's the only way we can overcome this, Mr. Speaker. Come lawyer, working can section, cutting can lawyer, some lawyer, fit to be the courtroom. Let's lead our people for once. Let's give them the right message and we will overcome this pandemic that we are facing in this country. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Member of Pandep.
Thank you, Speaker. We've been talking about this issue some of the time. Petition and me like talk against support law. Response where Prime Minister I give him long petition long all people we all come present but it's an aste. Now, Mr. Speaker, we must take note. The country to take note. Companies, private sector too must look survey. The Prime Minister not making one plus statement, nothing. And we respond long grievance, petition, by all people, Papua New Guinea can give him. The response of Prime Minister give him any significant for all the COVID-19 issues that has raised ever since that disease of that pandemic came into this country, and we've been mitigating through it. And the people have opened to come out despite the spike. At present times, they're coming to the Prime Minister, to the Parliament, and presenting the petition as the Prime Minister has responded. And those points must be taken very seriously by this Parliament, by the public, by the private sector, everyone. First point, Mr. Speaker, I'd like to say is in spite of the COVID-19, I commend the Prime Minister, Marabe. He's one of those few leaders who wants to listen to the people. I've been here on this floor, Parliament, 15 years. Another person who wanted to listen to the people is the late great Marabe. He listens. He does not talk and debate, he listens. Yesterday when this people came, despite the COVID-19, that must be serious issue to them. And Prime Minister will listen went out and you listen to them expressing their opinions. Mr. Speaker, what about the opinion that is expressed by anybody, Papua New Guinea citizen, or even another human being? That opinion must be heard by leaders, and Prime Minister Marabe just did that yesterday, and he must be commended because the critics out there will have criticized him, saying, well, look, you Prime Minister, this COVID-19, why would you encourage people to come to you in big numbers? Spread a sickness. That I want to say is a good thing, because I recall also sometimes in the past where university students were shot, people were blocked, debates gagged, public view and expression of the opinion was suppressed and subjugated under the rule of the gun by one police. Poor leaders advised him. But here I see a leadership that is coming up, and Prime Minister is not an experienced person.
He is doing his job very well under very challenging circumstances, Mr. Prime Minister. And I'm glad, Mr. Speaker, and I'm glad to hear the member Yellow Pange is happy with what the Prime Minister is doing. Because praise must go to where praise is due, and rebuke to rebuke to. I understand what the leader of the opposition is saying too. We cannot write him completely. We cannot write him completely. There are some substance issues that he is addressing. We ought to listen. And we can make head out of it and force it forward. But here are some of those issues that I had the Prime Minister mention in response. He said, vaccination is optional. Man, Mary, you got the right below you. You got vaccinate, you got vaccinate. You like below you. Prime Minister said, making this a mandatory and clear. This is the talking going on citizens of the country, and going on public service, and going on private sector, and going on all together. People struggle to understand the time to cope, and live, and survive. So that means I agree also we must be very responsible. Very, very responsible. Long you may not get him sick, but also, most importantly, you may not give him sick on nerve man Mary. That's what I'm the speaker. Me all the time you will wear him a mask around. Why? Because me yet me not vaccination. Because me have me yet. But me pregnant with me carry this virus and me give him not brother or sister. So me very careful of me yet now. So some of the facts with the sick in Blasave. So empower some of one man on Mary. You like vaccinate or not, and this Prime Minister making very clear. Number 1 point, vaccination is optional. Number 2 point, me talk, director, and me write him letter. You know, man, nothing. Director of COVID-19, and me write him letter. He go along, oh, private sector want them, public service, no, oh, and write him, he go. Then me ask him all, long, be flexible. Be flexible. No can. You talk, okay, this is now the company policy, me mandatory long over the people out. For example, all church make some sample report on some over 600 employees only now established termination line. And through a man, we agree on the point of some labor and women, but you must find them out this is 600 family men and women, they'll be terminated for want of vaccination. Vaccination is good, but there must be flexibility. Because when you talk about being responsible, you're also terminating people and their families will be suffering. At this time, the Molnabla company was some to mine, or even along Newcrest mine long, New Island, all never big company was same. Me agree, me look at this occupational health and the safety rule, and me stop and blow, and me strong blow through. But he must get some flexibility. Also, Prime Minister, me talk also, put him on check system. Lo make him show some old man American law work. Almost he got this check will go through. Only look at only got the sick or not, temperature check or only put in PSR or what I'm kind of now part of the safety and occupational health safety. Low long almost now only stop Pablo this too. While all the driving vaccination as the policy, almost to put them all this less strict COVID-19 rules long, almost going to work long, and under these conditions long rules, long COVID-19. But just cut him all man around him, me look at me get less, very, very rigid, unnecessary, because the facts of COVID-19 infection is completely different, and now only implement him. The government position is completely different. Now how the company will implement him, policy belong all of me, very draconian, and very harsh long people. So number 2 point, me, Prime Minister, me talk also, director me give him letter he go. Number point 2, me Prime Minister, me talk also, people have a choice. That is I'm talking through. Now me talk also, me, Mr. Speaker, me talking about the beginning below me looks vaccination. Or beginning below me, or vaccination. Me talk please vaccination. Me talk also below. Me talk land below me, you vaccination. When you feeling vaccination, empower stuff with them you know. I'm choice you me got it. The issue now I'm also is a choice too. me like him all not land and respect him too. Or some company must respect him the choice too. You may not go hard head straight. Not go very rigid straight. It's a choice where you may proclaim your parliament and prime minister may talk, and the right choice, and the right proclamation the prime minister make him. And very correct. That's correct policy. There is a right policy the prime minister makes. But that must be translated by everyone in the society too, accordingly with some flexibility there, but with strict implementation of COVID-19 rules in the workplaces as part of their responsibilities. Now, public service. The Liberal opposition in the Togo Assembly sent a letter along public service Secretary along Prime Minister along Oli Masa vaccinate. Now, this is a bad idea. A bad idea. Suppose the head secretary belong government write him letter, you're going to talk about public service, the Togo Assembly must now look out. It's a vaccination, no to block him, go give him Mary picking there, you blast the workplace. I'm wrong, I'm right. I'm correct instruction and giving me go. Again, it comes down to them. That's the compliance to the rules, the conditions that they create in the workplaces, in the public service to making sure all of us are safe. It's very important. So I think rather than looking at whether opposition, somebody from opposition speaking, and therefore the government side, we stand up and we try to rebut it or vice versa, I think we should avoid this kind of confrontational attack or approach to debates. We should look at, like many said, the facts are there. Let's see it clearly as to what all of us are saying here. And that becomes a policy of government or policy of the country. Let me finish and talk. Let me talk to Mr. Speaker. All these are points where Prime Minister may make him, they're very fundamental. The vaccination is optional. There should be strict compliance to the rules of COVID-19 in all its companies and public service there. And it's a choice that belongs to all of us. There should be flexibility, but very high level of responsibility. And we should kill this virus by staying ourselves free from it, following the rules of COVID-19, and also staying very healthy and fit. Mr. Speaker, I always say the primary responsibility lies on ourselves staying healthy and fit. I say this not because I'm a very fit person, no. Because I see common sense is that you already have a fit body and mindset in you. When we can drive this policy is more important to our people in this country. What I'm going to say may come up. Me looking motion body, you mean by strong, long, stand up against him or can see him. We must now start long talk about a very healthy and fit living in country now. There's a challenge that faces all of us. Not just focusing on this pandemic, this COVID-19, no. We should also address the general health issues of this country, obesity, the multi-drug TB, the lack of facilities in the hospitals, all those things. Well, we have the chance now. Let's capitalize on COVID-19. The funds that are coming in from people outside, the resources we may have available to address all those issues, a general overarching policy perspective, whilst at the same time addressing the COVID-19. I say this because I have some facts to present. I have had relatives who have died recently, millionaires, and ordinary men and women, and children. They have been sick, infected with COVID-19. They've gone to some hospitals, and the relatives who've been bearing with them and laboring to, endeavoring to bring them back to life, with some hope. They have come and expressed those sentiments in the house grass. And I heard them, they say, we went and there was a granule they're looking for. The doctor did not have a granule to put into the arms to give the medication. Or they're looking for the oxygen bottle, was not there. Or they saw that there was not enough beds, so we lay on the floor. So I'm saying that, well, when you have a pandemic, those things we expect them, but let's capitalize on it and address a broader, wider perspective of health, making ourselves fit first on this floor of Parliament. Let's not be obese, let's be fit and make our people fit. Let's drive a fit and health policy from this Parliament whilst addressing the COVID-19 pandemic. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Honourable Minister of Fisheries.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, Lord Luksave. Bami make him really talk long COVID-19. While debate block COVID-19 and go big plus threat lo this country, there are some facts that we have to make ourselves aware if you are not aware. And one of them is that COVID-19 is not like any other disease we have in this country. COVID-19 has a very high transmission rate. You can talk to him, but makes him sick leave, but how do you know that you don't have COVID? COVID has a latent period of 5.2 days, incubation period. Within that time, you can still transmit the virus. So, government is no wrong lo making all these policies and making based on scientific data. Now, lo parliament, you may go to come up doctor now. You may go to school 5 years lo come up doctor. While you may forget lo real doctors will stop long house signal make him work stop. As you may talk lo yana sabi mouse long floor of parliament stop. Which of you have actually gone to the emergency department to see how the doctors are doing? Which of you? I bet none of you. And every time they spend, every day whilst they spend there, their lives are at risk of getting COVID-19. And their families' lives, their children's lives, just like us sitting here. They have wives, they have kids, they have family members who live with them. Every time we are subjecting them to that risk because of our unscientific and stupid way of confronting this issue. I'm sure we have a land doctor here, two of my colleagues here, and they will agree to what I'm saying. COVID-19.
We have a point of order.
Oh, it's stupid, honorable leaders, and we uncalled for. So, enough, and we withdraw this plan. I think all honorable members are not stupid. All people blame this country too, all not stupid.
Honorable, let me address this point of order. Me harim statement long and I'm talk you me honorable members some stupid line. I'm talk the way where some approach long this addressing this issue. Is stupid. Straight. Stupid and meaningless. Straight la ro. So I could have asked him to withdraw that statement. Honorable member. But me harim and me cry also. Not talk members all stupid. No. Thank you. So, Honorable Minister, you may go ahead with your debate.
Thank you, Speaker. Suppose Tok em kam karangi yo se mi. Tok sorry, you got him correct way long approach him everything you may make him inside long country. Correct way him stop. Now doctors all sit down inside long this la parliament all by agree. The only way to eradicate COVID-19 is to vaccinate. You can steam, you can kumu, you can make him over or something, but sick and by still stop it. There's no guarantee that once you are vaccinated, you will not be infected again. It's the same for all other vaccination, immunization programs we get. TB, time you can vaccination, minimum and beyond time, you don't have some TB, but you still kiss him TB. But if you have what we call a population that is competent, because of the vaccination, then the transmission rate goes really low. And just like polio that we actually eradicated, you can rouse some COVID. So as a country, you should look at all these factors. By you maintaining safe work practice forever. Are we going to do it forever? Are we going to steam ourselves forever? There must be a policy to remove COVID, eradicate COVID. And the only way we have available to us right now is vaccination. So, as any sensible, we are looking at the populist view. 2022 is coming around the corner, so we want to, really make our voters happy. But is that what we leaders should do? No, we have to take the hard stance, Mr. Speaker. As leaders, we must take the hard stance and do the right thing. And that means protecting everyone, Not just a few people, but everyone. Right now, because a lot of our population don't want to be vaccinated, you may cry about them all. I don't want to be like our member for Yalibu Pangia said, everyone is becoming an expert. So I'm not an expert, but I actually brought this constitution book into Parliament, and it says in section 55, equality of citizens. And it says, subject to this constitution, all citizens have the same rights, privileges, obligations, and duties, irrespective of race, tribe, place of origin, political opinion, color, creed, religion, or sex. So what about the vaccinated population? Do they have any rights, Mr. Speaker? Do they have any rights? What about the medical people, the doctors who are working out there? Do they have any rights to live just like us? Why are we not becoming leaders? We said we wanted to provide leadership. But what about the minority group? The people who have underlying health conditions? Because they are more at risk of dying than all of us running around. What about them? What about the old people? I lost a couple of relatives over the last couple of weeks. We've lost some members of parliament because of COVID. What about them? Does this constitution here give them any right at all? Section 55 talks about equality of rights. Everyone has the same right to life. So if they feel threatened at workplace because unvaccinated people are flocking in, because we can't really tell whether they have COVID or not, because of the incubation period of 5.2 days, Mr. Speaker. That's why sometimes, on the floor of Parliament, because we are not experts, why can't we listen to the medical fraternity, the experts? Why can't we make policy decisions based on what they tell us to do? All of a sudden we are reading Google, we are seeing some YouTube videos, and that makes us experts on a field that we have no idea of. There's a reason why doctors spend 5 years in medicine, doing medicine. It helps you, give you that contextual knowledge so that you can make, statements. When you just make statements because you've just read one paragraph from Google, it doesn't qualify you. Mr. Speaker, you got implanted something. In medicine, it's the data that drives the policy. 2 weeks ago, I went to Knox Center. Of the 430 plus deaths, only one was a vaccinated person. And that one person died because of other complications he had, and not because of COVID-19. 2 weeks ago, I went to Knox Center. There were 430 plus deaths in this country. Statistics from this country. Only one person died, and he died because of other underlying health issues he had, not because of COVID-19. So there's overwhelming scientific evidence from this country, as well as from the world over, that points us to the direction of vaccination. Now, because of politics, because of the populist view, now you may like kisim, I'm a mas long over the man. We have to, be forced to make a compromise, and the compromise is we are doing testing at workplace. Now, testing at workplace is good, but like I said, the incubation period is 5.2 days. Within that period, you don't show any symptoms. You don't have a temperature. How would you suspect someone if he has COVID? Now, that's the risk we have to take, because we have to deal with the popular outcry. This government has to deal with it. If it was in another form of government, we would be based strictly on, scientific advice, and that would be the direction other countries on planet Earth are taking. But long here, because we are going to election next year, we have to make a compromise. That 400 going to election next year, we have to make a compromise. That 430 people all die. Some of them are fathers. Some of them are like you and me. And there's children actually on the streets. We had a member of parliament who should be sitting here, unfortunately succumbs to COVID-19. What about his family? What about his children? When we come here and make so many pompous statements without that sense of empathy, without, that human in us. You know, it really defeats my conscience, because when good people, when people who are supposed to be reputable leaders in this country start politicizing the issue of COVID-19, can you for once just leave it and leave it with the medical fraternity and let them give us the policy advice and act on it? Because COVID is real. People are dying every day. People are being admitted. If you can, you know, this afternoon, for example, whilst we are all here in Mosby, if we can go down to the emergency department and see how it is out there. The doctors are really stressed out. And being a doctor myself, hearing from them every day what's going on in the hospital, I'm feeling very sorry for them and their families. They're just like us. You know, luckily in this country, because accessibility is a bit limited, most of our population lives out in the bushes. So that's why COVID-19 has taken a bit of time to actually spread. If it was like in Australia or other countries like Fiji, it would have spread really fast. And what that would have meant was that our health system would have collapsed because of not enough medical officers, because of not enough, you know, medical facilities to cater for the rise in the number of admissions. Mr. Speaker, as leaders, we have to please not politicize COVID-19. Let's respect the government and the policy decisions it's undertaking to protect us, and not only us, but the medical workers who are at the forefront in the fight against COVID. Protect the weak people, the whole people. Let me, in finishing, say these things. COVID is not just like any other illness. It has an explosive transmission rate. In the last 200 years, we've never seen a pandemic like COVID. COVID has killed more people than any other pandemic in the last 200 years, Mr. Speaker. And that should really raise some concerns in this House. The high reproductive number in terms of the COVID reproductive rate, the super spreading event, and a globally naive population. It's a new infection. Our immunity has never seen anything like that, so we are coping up with it. So in terms of the vaccination, just to clear all of us, flu vaccinations are gotten every year, sample vaccine every year, because the memory it gives you from getting that vaccination doesn't last that long, so you have to get another booster vaccination. For COVID, we don't know. The information is not yet here because it's new. So it might mean that we have to get vaccination again. A lot of these things are happening, and we just, you know, right now, going through the proper way of doing testing and all that, COVID-19 is something new. And in the next 5 to 10 years, we will really have some data to really tell whether we have some long-term adverse effects and all that. But right now, as leaders, please, let's not be people that are propagating fear into the population. Let's do the right thing. And the right thing is asking our population to get vaccinated. While we won't impose vaccination, while vaccination may not be mandatory, as leaders, let's show leadership and tell our people to get vaccination, because so far we have had no adverse effects from vaccination in this country, but we have had more than 430 deaths, Mr. Speaker. And that is evidence enough that vaccination is safe, and we must be vaccinated. And let's not politicize vaccination. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Before you go inside the workplace. Well, people coming to Papua New Guinea, even citizens of Papua New Guinea, you come to Jackson Airport, you must be tested before you come to your own country. You must show that you know some virus na come inside. Not only that, now you must pay him 300 kina to get tested at Jackson Airport. We have one of the toughest regime in the world, because immigration entitled him to help our strategy, Lord, helping people, believe me. So me like giving commendation long all, Minister of Law Health too. Minister of Law Health, you may put in plenty kind pressure on him. I'm no medical expert. He has to rise up to the occasion. Some of the time you may cross wrong and long money. Me cross wrong and long money too. But you will okay, you may get savvy of him. Minister, I'm now sign him checkbook, now control him. Prime Minister, you give plenty power all public servant here. Me complain here this time. Also sign him checkbook na. They do as they like na. You not got power to you, Prime Minister. You get the backlash. Minister gets him backlash. Me too, Mr. Gets him backlash. Money goes on him. Me no sign him check, Mr. Speaker. We do the policy. We come up with the strategy. We hope the public servants will roll it out. Sometimes it works. Sometimes too, Mr. Popeye. But the minister has done well. I want to call on all of us to, support the government, especially the strategy. It might not be popular, but it's the only way and the right way. Because something, Speaker. Now, you may get up. People blame me at him. How are we going to get out of this pandemic here? Prime Minister, I'm less long end, me less long end, Speaker to you less long end. We are all tired of this pandemic. We must ask ourselves, how do we get out? It's like a quagmire. We cannot get out. Look at the country now, only saw him one road to get out. I'm looks him vaccine here. Because now, Dr. Pukatemu and Tokpenis, remember blow about? There is absolutely certainty of a fourth wave and by come. Kain name only put him long all this variant long this virus COVID-19 here, Mr. Speaker. All got a Greek alphabet, I'll call him. Alpha na kain name. One play him Gamma. Gamma ya am killing 600,000 people of Brazil. Mr. Speaker, I'm around Peninsula region below you. Australia I think got, Philippines I think got, Indonesia I got. And there's all the chance that Gamma too by come here. Maybe it might cause the fourth wave. How are we going to protect our people? Lo here lo must be some line lo Gordon's market. Alto ko sema, mipla round nothing na, mipla kaya das na, mipla already, mipla no die. There's a sikia thing blue mipla office line na, air condition na. All this a kind line. Mr. Speaker, the fact is that all line where they are well known. All hold him high position, all die. News come up, condolence message come up, all get a line sabe. But the ordinary people all die now, lo must be. Now I'm sure in the rest of the country, he no come up the newspaper. He no come up the radio, so you may think him blow office line that's all. Most of the people all die, all stable more long. Port Moresby General Hospital, yeah. Now all get a funeral homes too, all pull up his stuff, yeah. Him all ordinary people. You know some who they are. But they are relatives now then. So there's a sikia emlo you me all gra. Him no kandim you sadu. You save mano, you walk mano, business mano, young blow mano, Mario. Before when COVID-19 come, him I think belong all, the vulnerable line, you me 40 or 50 I gone up. Now you are beginning dialogue Mosby. Young blow man 30 years old dialogue Mosby. Elders old dialogue Mosby. Mr. Speaker, this is a heavy stuff all health workers here, him too, you know, blow easy, you me, and take it, also blow pilai. All doctors blow you me, Port Moresby General Hospital, now medical officer, nurse, all work hard, day and night. All line ambulance officers, now medical officer, long, St. John's, long, Taroma Aquatic Center, no got malalo long. Some long COVID. Some of St. John's do only die. We have a responsibility to them. When are we going to give them relief now all by malolo lately? How sick in a malolo all man married sick na go. Move to in a malolo. Funeral home to in a malolo. Any green to in a malolo. House cry to in a malolo. Remember must be south na east na west all stablo here. Every day before me plus something 2 or 3 or. Now you are 10 or 20 or. House cry yourself, house cry yourself, house cry yourself, request come yourself. You see lo people lo most lo manage him. Look out the old people play me. Non-stop. Mr. Speaker, non-stop.
Honorable Governor,
tubla 10 minutes blue or 20 minutes, I mean, harare finish also.
Thank
So
you,
you
Mr.
round him
Speaker.
up, debate blue now.
Thank you. I think that's all me can talk. Me like emphasizing that's all. Situation where you mean this. Let's take it seriously. Support him government. Convince our people to get the vaccine. No got narrow road. Me by continue to support him. And popular no gado. Mixing vote no gado. But I have to do the right thing. And the right thing to protect our people is to encourage them and convince them to get the vaccine. And that's all.
The question is that the question be now put. Those in favor say aye. Aye. Those against say no. The ayes have it. Minister of Transport.
Mr. Speaker, I move that Parliament now be adjourned to 10 o'clock tomorrow.
The question is that the motion be agreed to. Those in favor say aye. Aye. Those against say no. The ayes have it. Honourable members, Parliament now is adjourned to 10 o'clock tomorrow morning.